Hello and welcome to another edition of Fides Podcast. My name is Jerry Serino and I'm your host, and I'm here with talent on loan from Rush. So this is my show is a conservative pro-life show. We talk about tons and tons of issues, lots of issues that are related to all that we're facing today. But as many of you listeners might know or might not, I don't know. I am Catholic. This is not specifically a Catholic show. It certainly is Christian. But I am here in Cleveland, Ohio, is where I live and I record, and I am definitely involved in the Catholic diocese here in Cleveland. My guest today is a three-time guest, which is a great feat for my little show. Jessica De Salvatore, she has been on two other times to talk about some of her writings, and she's done really great stuff. And she's here to talk about a couple of retreats that are going on here in Cleveland. So, Jess, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me again, Jerry.
Yes, yeah, my pleasure. So let's talk about, and I'm going to share my screen here to show everybody who's watching. If you're not watching, obviously, you could be you're listening to, and you can get the site that we're going to be referencing where you can hear about this stuff. But if you're watching, you could see on the screen, and we'll kind of go through that. But Jess, go ahead and just tell us a little bit about this retreat and this conference. It's a conference, and what people can expect.
Yeah, sure. So for those not watching, you can find this conference at ignitecatholic.com. This has been a conference that's been in the works for quite a while. I have not been one of the main members hosting or planning this, but I have been trying to promote the conference to the best of my ability, so which is what landed me on here. The main intent of this conference is to gather everyone, all the young adults across the Cleveland diocese, to gather for one day and to not only strengthen their faith by listening to a variety of speakers, but also to promote more unity. Fun fact, there's over 30 young adult groups in the Diocese of Cleveland. And so the main intent is to bring more unity and to bring us all together. The Cleveland Diocese is a huge diocese, right? Spanning from, down in Akron all the way up to Cleveland. So this conference, it's going to be held at the Cleveland Marriott in the Key Tower downtown, and it's going to be from 9 to 5:30. It is, as it says right here, an opportunity for young adults, leaders, to deepen their identity in the Father and strengthen their faith with other young adult leaders. And you can attend this whether you have a leadership role or not in the young adult group that you're in.
Okay.
So the tickets as well, they're going to be at $55, but we're also working on having people to sponsor these tickets in case people are not able to afford them to the fullest capacity. I myself am going to be sponsoring 2 tickets. So there's also an inquiry form, I think, on this page that you can fill out and reach out to the leaders of this conference and ask them for sponsorship if you need it.
So it's not just for someone who's a youth group leader or something like that. It's for anybody who wants to come and hear great speakers, primarily, younger people. Like what do you think that roughly the age group will be?
Sure. Roughly the age, I think, would be early 20s, probably to mid 30s is usually the crowd that we get at a lot of these young adult groups. Of course, it's not restricted to that, but that is the majority of people who will be there will be in their 20s and mid 30s. And you do not have to be a young adult leader per se, but we are all called to lead in a sense as Catholics. To lead people into the church. So you don't have to have an actual leadership role in these organizations or in any youth group in general. You can just come and hear the great speakers that are going to be there. And there's going to be Mass with Bishop Malesic as well towards the end of the day. There's going to be an opportunity for confession and adoration. And there's going to be breakfast and lunch will be included in the ticket price. And there's a few other things that are going to be going on as well that can be found on the website.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, if you're watching, you can see the website ignitecatholic.com. If you're listening, it's an easy one to remember. Hopefully, ignitecatholic.com, and you can go there. Get tickets for yourself, or maybe let others know about this if they maybe don't, if they're roughly fall in that age group, or they're a leader or somebody who hopes to be a leader in their church in some way. So can you tell me, Jess, about the speakers? You don't have to give me their biographies, but what because those are usually the big draws for people when they come to these, would be the speakers.
Sure. So, actually, if you also want to go, for people who are watching, to the speaker tab up top, we can also take a look. Myself personally, I have not listened to these speakers yet, but I have heard great things about all of them. They are all regional speakers. Reverend Jacob Bearer, he's actually going to also be giving a talk at the Theology on Tap on the West Side on April 18th at Forest City Brewery. So I do know that about him. Sister John Paul Myers, of course, is also going to be attending, and Pete Burak. So yes, all of them are regional Catholic speakers. And I'm looking forward to hearing from each one of them for sure.
Yeah, and what people should do is go look up these speakers. They're I guarantee you, I haven't yet, but I guarantee you they're all easy to search for. And if you want to get a little taste for what type of thing they talk about, you can do that on all the social media. So besides the speakers, one thing that's great about conferences like this is the sort of camaraderie with the attendees, right? I mean, you have people that you maybe get to know, people maybe you go with them and you're kind of learning together. What do you anticipate is the sort of the environment that will be there?
Sure. I mean, definitely an all welcoming, very joyful, very excitable bunch, I would say. Knowing how many people will be there and knowing all the people that I know who are already signed up.
Yeah.
Everyone is very kind and welcoming and just very on fire, as we say, for their faith. And I see that the joy of the Holy Spirit is in everyone who I meet throughout the young adult groups I've been a part of, including Catching Fire and Cleveland Catholic Creatives, many of which, many participants who will be at this conference. It's just going to be a very invigorating day, I would say. It's going to definitely catch people's attention, and I think it's definitely going to be a great way to bring everyone together rather than have all these separate groups across the diocese, knowing that and reminding ourselves that we all are, one church, we're all one diocese, and we're all coming together because part of being Catholic is having community. So not just within the small young adult groups that people run, but just across the diocese, because that's what's going to really help bulk up our faith in general personally, but also it's going to spread across the community to people who might not even know about the church yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I think I will say that from my experience in this show, the youth, and I'm not considered the youth anymore, but people that are in and around your age, Jess, are really, really showing me at least to be extremely strong leaders and people that are really for searching for the truth. Really, it's something that I think they're not getting. There's so much that is being suppressed out there. It's viewed as unnecessary. I did a pro-life talk at Kent State University last month, and I will tell you the number of guys that came up to me and said, "Thank you so much for coming. This was awesome." And I
Wow.
really felt like, in the case, like young men aren't being given this. And certainly, there were women who were very thankful too. But if you're looking for other people that are like you, if that's a good way to say it, this type of conference is what you need to go to meet people. If you're happen to be looking for a future spouse, I bet that this would be a good place to go. It's where I would go if I were young and single. But that's something certainly worth going to. So again, ignitecatholic.com. Just go there. You can find out all about it, all the speakers. You can get your tickets. You could sponsor tickets if you want to, so that others who maybe can't afford them can get some. So ignitecatholic.com. And Jess also is involved in another organization that she wanted to share as well. So, Jess, I'll let you go ahead and explain that.
Sure. And thank you again, Jerry, for
You're welcome.
letting me come on here and promote these groups. So I'm also part of a group called Cleveland Catholic Creatives. Catholic Creatives is a national organization.
Okay.
It's a smaller organization. There's about 8,000 young adults nationwide that are currently a part of it. 3 years ago, almost, 2 people in the Cleveland diocese, they decided to co-found the Cleveland Catholic Creatives group. So I've been a part of it since 2020, actually right when COVID started. That's when I first went to my first meeting. It was via Zoom. So we've been around for a little bit. So the purpose of this group is to really rediscover beauty, not just within the Catholic Church, but also within the world, and also to try to reinvigorate the culture around us with the beauty that the Christian life gives us. We're pretty much a bunch of, yep, this is it.
This is the
We're pretty
website, yeah.
much, yeah. So we are a bunch of 20s, 30-year-olds, again, young adults who come together several times a month and we create with one another. A couple of the things that we do, we have improv nights. We usually go on hikes every so often because, of course, nature brings out the best in any kind of work that we are partaking in. And, we're writers, we are photographers, we're filmmakers, we're actors. There's a couple of people who have been in local plays. And so the whole purpose is to find the beauty in the world and find the beauty in the church. Twice a month, we also get together for what we call open studios, which is when we all just get together, usually on Saturday mornings, for a couple hours. We just create, we just sit around, we catch up on what we wanted to do during the week maybe and just didn't get around to. And what I wanted to specifically promote is this, April 23rd, which is a Sunday, is our third Cleveland Catholic Creatives retreat. And at this retreat, it's going to be 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. at St. John Vianney in Menor, Ohio. And you can also look us up, the Cleveland Catholic Creatives group, on Facebook at CLE Catholic Creatives. And from there, you can go to the event itself, and there's an online form that you can sign up with. And the fee is $20, but it includes breakfast, lunch, and snacks throughout the whole day. And I believe dinner as well, yes. And during that day, there's going to be adoration, there's going to be mass, there's going to be time to create, there's going to be a speaker, Father Pat, who is one of the priests in the Diocese of Cleveland. And there will be time to just get to know one another. And if you're a creative person who is struggling maybe to find community, I think this would be the perfect jumpstart for you because it's going to be a great group of people. It's not going to be huge by any means. It's definitely not about numbers with this retreat. It's definitely about bringing creative Catholics together to rediscover beauty, and how the main theme of this retreat is to allow beauty that comes from God and allow the love that comes from God to be received by us in order for it to be found and expounded in our work. So that's what I wanted to talk about with Cleveland Catholic Creatives. And like I said, on Facebook, you can go to CLE Catholic Creatives and you can find the event and you can sign up using the online form.
Yeah, I'm gonna put up here CLE Catholic Creatives as well for those watching. You could just go to CatholicCreatives.com if that's just easier to remember if you're just listening, or go to Facebook, CLE Catholic Creatives, and pull up their site. Well, I got to tell you, it sounds really so. And he might be upset with me for if he listens to this episode. But I have a 20-year-old son who is really been trying to get involved in some Catholic groups in college and hasn't really found them to be a good fit for him. and we're trying to help him find good groups or things to be a part of. So this looks like it might be a nice option for him to try out. It's at least good on the web page when you have someone drinking a beer. That is always a positive sign that
Yep,
it's a good,
absolutely.
cool group.
We are a
So
cool group. Yep.
yeah, that's great. That's great. When we need them, we need more groups like you guys. Because, like I said, I really believe that the youth are hungry for what the Catholic Church and what Christianity in general is offering, and society is doing everything in its power to make it as though, quite frankly, any one of our beliefs are wrong, hateful. They want to censor us and the like. It's really awful. So, if you're a college student and you're looking for a group to be a part of, if you want to be a part of something when you come home in the summer, please check out Cleveland Catholic Creatives and get involved. So, really great stuff, Jess. Thank you so much for coming on. Maybe just give a final rundown of the two events that you're talking, just the dates and locations, and so we can sign off with that.
Sure. So the one that's coming up first is the Cleveland Catholic Creatives Retreat, and also the title is Beholding Beauty. That's going to be on April 23rd. It's a Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. at St. John Vianney in Menor. And on April 29th from 9 to 5:30 is going to be the Ignite Conference. And that's going to
Mhm.
be at the Cleveland Marriott in the KeyBank Tower. And that's, yeah, like I said, going to be from 9 to 5:30. And that's on April 29th. So, and thanks, Jerry, for having me on again.
Yeah, absolutely. Number three is a good number to have you on for. Great causes, great events. I'm glad to be a part in my small way of helping promote this. And I hope that both of these events go really well. I'm sure they will. So thanks, Jess. Really appreciate you coming on. And thank all of you for listening to this episode of Fides Podcast. Please check out all my podcasts and all the different podcast apps on YouTube, on Rumble, and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on rightamericamedia.com. And also now I'm going to be on the Cleveland Salem network under their podcast grouping. So I'll share a link for that soon. So thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.